Hello, everybody. Stu Smith and Jeff Nichols here with the Tactical Fitness Report. And today we're going to talk about food and energy, I guess, and how the type of nutrition thinking you need to have when you are looking for fuel to prepare for these type of jobs that Jeff and I talk about all the time, right? Military, law enforcement, firefighter jobs, screenings, selections, boot camps, whatever. These things are very caloric demanding, and you need to be eating, not only just eating a lot, but eating well. And it kind of depends on your situation. So let's kind of frame this, Jeff, in a way where we're kind of talking about almost before, during, and after your workout. Kind of frame it around the workout, maybe even a fitness test.
Right.
Where you're really going anaerobic in some of those events,
Right.
Type of foods that you need before those, kind of drinks or foods you need to, during, especially if it's a real long workout, like a long ruck or something that's a couple hours long. And then what do you do after to recover and prepare for the next one? So I know there's a lot of diets that people ask us all about all the time. What are some of the ones that you get your most questions on typically?
Yeah, I think, again, there's so many, and to limit a list would be, really is going to do a bit of disservice, except for the ultimate point that we're going to try and get to. So like the ketogenic diet right now is all the rage. It's been around forever. Before it was called ketogenic, it was called ketogenic. Before it was called ketogenic, it was called ketogenic.
Yeah.
It's been used widely in Parkinson's, diabetic, for 100 years.
Yeah.
Right. But it had a name a while back. It was called the Atkins.
Right.
Dr. Atkins was creating this diet he thought would eradicate heart disease. Dr. Atkins died of heart disease.
Right.
Irony is interesting.
Yeah. So, you know what? If you're a diabetic, it makes sense.
Yeah. Makes sense. If you're a bodybuilder going on stage, it makes sense. Yeah. If you need it's either that or gastric bypass, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Or what really makes sense from keto is just, again, I'm going to list these, and this is why these make sense. So you have ketogenic, the paleo diet's very prolific, and I think it'll stay around probably for the reasons I'm going to get to. And intermittent fasting is a thing now.
Yeah.
It's always been a thing.
Yeah.
It's not new. And then you have the vertical diet is by stand efforting, which is also not a new thing. They're all, the common thread for these is simply this. The common thread is limiting refined sugars, limiting artificial sweeteners, and limiting refined carbohydrates, or eliminating them entirely.
Yeah, eliminate
them entirely. And that's the common thread. And what a concept. Get rid of food that does not agree with your body, right? Yeah. What a concept. So, the point is that they're all valuable if used correctly. What does that mean? It just means, like, what's my goal? This diet followed to a T will result in X. Almost not counting, regardless of body type, outside of, like, if there's a real serious illness, these are diets that we're not, like, these are guidelines. These are just things that we're talking about. But understand that when people are like, what diet should I use? But if you look at any diet, almost any, you look at a pescatarian diet, which is just eating fish and vegetables, right?
Right.
Well, what have we done? Right? Tony Robbins did that for a while and almost died from mercury poisoning. That's because all he was eating was tuna and mahi, right? But so again, we gotta step back for a bit and go, okay, what's a diet? Like, what is it? So those sort of things of, okay, is the ketogenic diet, is the paleo diet, is an intermittent fasting, is the vertical diet, are any of these useful pre? My opinion is there's only one of them of these four. Now I call my diet not quite keto. That's kind of what I call my diet. It's it's Stan Efferding's. I don't follow Stan Efferding's vertical. This is what I've been doing for a long time.
Yeah.
Stan is a brilliant man. He just put a name to it. So maybe I should have called it the Jeff Nichols diet a year and a half ago.
Right. And just to remind people what that is meats, fruits and vegetables.
Yep. And rice. Yep. And rice. Yeah. So that's what I eat. That's what I've eaten for a long, long time. And it's just now I've just gotten this diet. What I think is very, very cool about diets, what's really great about diets, it gives you a baseline. It's like, this is what I'm supposed to follow. And then you get in the diet and go, man, I really, really like eating X. Well, I'm going to eat that anyway, maybe, or I won't. So that diet gives you an idea of like what you're really capable for that moment. Because for me, it's like, I'm not going to go straight keto. Why? Because, and here's why, is one thing is like, if I'm going to go swim in the morning for 2-3 hours, I want some carbs. I want some fast acting carbohydrates. I'll eat an English muffin with my eggs and bacon and such, because I know that I'm going to get in the pool, supply that energy system, that glycolytic energy system. And now that I have the heavy fat and carbohydrates in my stomach, animal fat specifically, I stay satiated. I have a good, so I get, as my body is transitioning through phosphocreatine into the glycolytic, it's got that transition. It's got a buffer until it gets into the oxidative and starts using fat that I have in my stomach and my body. Right. So I use that as kind of a transition.
Yep, I think that's a great idea. So that is, we talk about using food as fuel, and that's really where you need to kind of guide yourself on this, and don't get too caught up around, what particular diet you're eating. Like Jeff said, use it as a guideline to say, these are really good foods that agree with me, and you're going to have to play around with this. I mean, every one of these diets I have done just so I know a little bit more about it and how it affects me. And I recently went on a keto one for about 6 weeks, and I dropped 15 pounds. Still kept it off, and I'm off of that plan now. And now I'm just kind of, what I did notice is that I really, at the end of the day, I just decreased my caloric intake is what I really did. Yeah, I was low on carbohydrates, but, at the end, I took out probably 30% of my diet because I quit eating carbohydrates, right? Which at the end gave me a caloric deficit and just plummeted my weight,
If you look at it the way that Stu's looking at it, folks, there is no mystery. Now, when you start getting to the point where like you need to be stage ready, or you need to drop this significant amount of labor, like when you have to drop 300 pounds, that's a significant undertaking. Okay. So it has to be approached. Now, if you're like, man, I got 2.5 pounds to drop because I got to make weight for this UFC fight, that becomes a very, very specific, like it's not a diet at that point. Right. It's like, okay, we really have to pay attention to this person's vitals. A lot of times those fighters, they have doctors with them monitoring their vitals, because those last 2 pounds, where's it going to come from? It's going to come from water. It's going to come from fat. It's going to come from sometimes the brain, which sounds like, whoa, that's why it's scary. So you can't treat the person that has to drop 200 or 300 pounds the same way you got to treat. They can't run the same diet as the fighter that needs to drop 2 pounds. Okay. Yeah. So all diets aren't created equal. It's a tool. I'm not going to take a golf club up to bat with me in a batter circle. I'm going to take a bat. Okay. Because that's what, so don't, if you're like, well, man, I got to do this really high endurance, blah, 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 blah. Well, you probably shouldn't do intermittent fasting. You also probably shouldn't do keto, but then someone's going to go, wait a minute. I know this triathlete that does keto and blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Right? I'm not Bryce Harper. I'm not going to train like him. I'm not, you're not Jeff Nichols. You might want to look at what Stu and I are doing and go, oh, well, these guys trust it. And this is the starting point that they used. Understand it may not work as specifically or as well for you. Just know that.
Yeah. But like I said, it's a lot of hunting and pecking, to find out what exactly works for you. And what I mean by that is not just eating to see how you feel, but eating to see how you perform.
Yes.
Because that's the key. I mean, we're talking about these being fuel methods for you to perform in your workouts and or fitness tests and or a day of SEAL training or whatever that is. I mean, so you mean it's a lot of calories.
You mean to say, Stu, I can't just blindly follow your programs. I have to invest my time in seeing how So I don't mean to be a jerk. I just, that's the point that, I'm not so finely in tune with my body that I know that like an extra 3 grams of protein is going to shift me out of ketosis. I don't know that. Right. But what I do know is that after a lot of trial and error and as pecking as Stu has said, I know that if I eat 3 English muffins, I get lethargic in the pool and just like bloated. 2 is too much too. Right. And it's like, well, no, I'm best at 6 eggs, 4 pieces of bacon, and 1, right? I've been doing this for months and years, and just understand that for you to go, yep, this is my diet and this is what's working for me now. It's going to take some time unless you're really lucky. But understand this too, in a year and a half, based off of what my goals are and how my body's feeling, I may have to shift because I might be experiencing a lot more inflammation. So then I'm really going to have to pull all of carbs out.
Yeah.
Possibly for a short period of time. And that is why the ketogenic diet may from a distance look like what a great thing to do when I'm training for buds, because my volume is so high. The ketogenic diet is really, really good at fighting inflammation, but it doesn't have some of those necessary components. I mean, as the diet is constructed, because I know plenty of people that are on keto that do put refined carbohydrates right before their workout.
Yes, right before the workout. That's when you use it, and because your body will consume it. Yes. Before your body has a chance to metabolize it naturally. So
it's fuel. Yes, as Stu has said many times, it's fuel, folks.
So let's talk about. So that's kind of before. What you like to eat before. I personally, if I'm doing a 2-hour workout in the morning, which I typically do. Depending on what that is, it might be a run, it might be followed by a swim, so all cardio day, it might be a lift with high rep calisthenics. I will typically grab a banana on my way out and take some kind of sugar drink with me, and not a whole lot, maybe a small 16-ounce Gatorade or something, or something else. Sometimes I use put a little more electrolytes into some water, like Drip Drop. You ever see the Drip Drop electrolyte stuff? Yep. That's really good, especially if it's in the summer and I know I'm going to be sweating my ass off. You got to do that, because I have.
Good thing Maryland's not humid, right?
Yeah, I tell you, I have probably bonked more from sweating profusely and low on electrolytes than I have on low on carbs.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's very similar. It's a very similar, like when you're out of electrolytes and you quit sweating, as long as you're not still moving and in the heat, I mean, you're going to start having heat stroke type issues if you're not cooling yourself down and start, getting some water in. But you feel very similar. So
we'll pause right now. This is a perfect teaching opportunity that Stu has brought up. It's summer, folks. I'm not trying to be super ridiculous, obvious. If you're training really hard outside, and you stop sweating, get your ass inside, cool off.
Yeah.
That is bad.
Yeah.
It's happened to me once. Yeah. It happened to me going through selection in August in Tucson. We did like a 12-mile run at noon.
Yeah.
We literally got back to the compound and I was all clammy and I stopped sweating and I was like, I think I just turned the sprinklers on at the drop zone, and I just stood in the sprinklers in the shade because it's a big shade structure out there, and the sprinklers actually hit the shade structure and then they fall through. It's like that stretched nylon.
Right.
The water can still come through.
Yeah.
And I just was like, this is bad. And the corpsman's like, let me know. I'm like, I know. So just be aware of that, folks. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No. That's great, because you're right. I mean, it's very important, especially in the summer. But I know for a fact that I sweat a lot, so I need to definitely have my hydration squared away when I go on a long run. Like usually what I do is I'll carry 2 bottles of water and I'll run with both of them, and I'll drop one because I know on the way back, that's where I need water the most.
Yeah. Right.
And then I'll drink the other one whenever we get to our destination, and then turn back around, and then I'll have that other bottle of water there. So it's just a strategic water drop. But, so that is the kind of planning I do during my workouts.
Yeah.
So I just know I have water and I have some electrolytes in the summer, or if I'm really pushing it and I need a little extra sugar, I'll have some kind of Gatorade type drink or something with a little bit extra sugar. Sometimes I'll do a couple slices of oranges or something like that, or another banana.
For sure. So. My suggestion for you all is this. One of them is that and Stu's laid it out, is that don't always let hunger and thirst be your only guide, right? If you're really thirsty, you're probably a little bit behind the power curve. You're really hungry and feel like so for me on that pre, during, post thing, I look at it and I go, okay, I have categories of food that I'm going to look at. I have protein, I have fat, I have water, I have sugar and carbohydrates. I want to say, okay, well, depending on what I'm going to do today, how do I try, and that's a keyword, try. I'm still trying to maximize the fuel in its, in how it's going to be used in this training program. If I'm going to go for a long run or a long swim, it's going to look very different than if I'm going to do a very high intensity or high volume squat day.
Yes.
It's going to look different.
Absolutely.
Should. So keep that in mind. And that's where a lot of the experimentation comes in. Because if I'm going to do a fairly robust endurance training day, it's going to look very similar to what Stu has laid out. Like simple sugars and carbohydrates from a natural source, fruit, right? I'm going to get an unnatural rehydration and sugar source, Gatorade, whatever it may be, vitamin water or something, kombucha, something, right?
Yep.
And then I'm going to go, how am I going to sustain this? Well, certainly I'm not going to be eating while I'm going. So I'm going to look at I want something a little bit higher fat. So peanut butter, MCT oils really become something that has really been a great turning point for me. And if I'm going to do a very high volume, non-aerobic workout, my program is what I eat, aside from, I've been hydrating most of the day, but I'm going to take my Naked butter, that MCT peanut butter infused deliciousness that I eat. I use the Condition 1 bar. I usually only eat half of it though, because it's so fat and carbohydrate rich with the coconut in it.
Yep.
And then so I kind of get a box of it, and it lasts me twice as long, because then I take, I do actually, believe it or not, it's not a marketing thing. I do drink the new Muscle Monster because it's only got 6 grams of sugar in it, 27 grams of protein. It's got 167 grams of caffeine, which is perfect for me. I don't drink a lot of caffeine. I only do it twice a day. Yeah. It's usually after breakfast and then prior to my training. And it's just enough really to, honestly, it's not a stimulant it is, it certainly is. But for me, I'm looking at vasodilation, hydration, vasodilation. And I actually will add capsaicin or turmeric to it sometimes, depending on what my state of hydration is. And this is like something that there's no measurement, folks. There's just, there's measurement in the sense of historical, like sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. That's enough turmeric, right? Or something. But so just what Stu and I, just like the programs, the physical training programs that we laid out, sometimes they may seem a little bit incomplete. They're going, well, like, what does he mean here? Or he hasn't specifically specified rest periods, because a lot of that should be on you to go, man, I just need a little bit extra rest. And the same with the food. It's like, man, I ate this, and this last time I did this, or something similar. I was really sleepy at the end of it. I wonder why that is. Well, is it hydration? Is it fat? Is it carbohydrates? And it's probably not protein. Right. Protein is going to be used as energy source, and then after the fact, it'll be used as repair. But so I don't really focus on a lot of protein prior.
Right. I don't
some.
Yeah, some.
So it's in my stomach as an energy source, or like I said, refueling. But I'm looking at water, fat, and carbs before I train.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm same way. And then during, like I said, it just depends on what you're doing. If
exactly.
you're really going anaerobic, you may want a little more sugar to throw in there. If it's a long cardio, you may want your some peanut butter and kind of go into some
the rule of thumb for all of these, diets, and probably every diet, this is like one of those borderline always never things that I say not to say, but this is almost the way, because a lot of times you could consume all this stuff and go, I don't know, or you felt worse. Well, it's a good safe bet that you're probably underhydrated.
Yes.
Because that's the catalyst of metabolism. One of the primary catalysts. What does that mean? It means to get the food into your stomach and actually be used as an energy source or in a repairing source, it has to have water. Yeah. It has to have a decent amount of water. So don't just like eat the peanut butter and swallow it down and then like take some honey and then like go for a run. A bad idea, folks. Real bad idea.
Like I said, run with 2 water bottles.
Yeah. And if you don't want to hold them, and because I've seen this and I've done it, take the little Gatorade bottle, the little ones, right? Mm-hmm. Tape it to your hand.
Good idea.
Take athletic tape. We did it in buds too. Tape it to your hand, man. Well, and then don't tape this one, right? Because you got to go to the bathroom maybe. But you are going to drink this, drop this in the garbage can on the run or whatever, in the park or wherever you're at, your house, whatever. Well, now you've got this. Yeah. You can just run.
Good idea.
That's what I've done.
That's a really good idea.
Or invest. My suggestion is invest in like a half a liter Camelback or whatever.
Yeah.
Those are whatever brands you want to get. But
those can be life-saving
for sure.
All right. So obviously we know the after of any workout is to recover from that workout. It's probably number one most important thing, but it is also preparing you for the next workout. One thing I like to do is I get these salt and vinegar almonds.
Oh, yeah.
After a workout, especially a sweaty workout, because it's a ton of – one, it's good fat, and it's really good salt that I need because I know I'm going to be low on salt. If I'm able to wring out sweat of my shirt, I know for a fact. And my shoes are squishy.
Hit your shoe and water comes out.
Yeah. That's when you know you need electrolytes and water. You need both.
Yeah, water. Right? Water and salt.
Like Gatorade, I don't think even cuts it. I think you need to go above and beyond what Gatorade provides.
Saturate the cell.
Yeah.
You're better off saturating the cell. Continue to hydrate. Maybe get a little bit of bloat.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit of swelling, because that's really you're going to contend with an extra water tension, especially the legs. Maybe you might get some swelling, and then we have ways to manage that. It's a different conversation.
But you got to mix in the electrolytes. You can't just after a real sweaty day like that just drink water.
Agreed.
Because that can.
And that's your vinegar in those almonds and salt. It's a good way to roll.
Yeah,
right? Because you're also almonds are extremely high in iron too, which that iron supplementation post training. Right, specifically for cell health and mitochondria transferring oxygen to heal. Iron is good.
Yep. And then what I usually do is I grab my protein powder and I mix it in. For some reason I haven't really been enjoying the shakes with the protein powder lately, but I've been mixing it with non-fat Greek yogurt.
Yep.
Right, and just I take plain non-fat Greek yogurt, mix in vanilla protein powder. Now I have vanilla flavored Greek yogurt without all the sugar,
right? Yeah,
and double the protein, so it comes out like 40 grams of protein with a little bowl of, and that's really good. And then after that, you eat your normal meals and continue on with your recovery process and preparation for the next workout. So,
right, and for gut health, you're right on target too with that the unsweetened Greek yogurt. Yeah. Because of its makeup, the acidophilus or whatever that's in it, it's so good for your stomach. So again, think about, folks, what's the last thing you really feel like doing once you have a hard workout? That's just like consuming food.
Yeah.
Right. So Stu's like saying, hey, I'm going to really rehydrate, get my electrolytes back up. What happens then? Once you've cooled down, you're rehydrated, appetite comes back.
Yeah.
And as appetite comes back, right, we introduce our protein, something that, because it doesn't take a lot of effort for the body to digest or metabolize, really is the better word, electrolytes and fluids.
Yeah.
Once you've balanced that electrolyte and fluid position, then appetite comes back. You can introduce a slow digesting food, i.e. protein, specifically casein protein, which is the Greek yogurt, in addition to a faster digesting protein, which is the whey. Now you have the full spectrum of digestion. So this is, folks, this is by design what Stu is telling you.
Right.
He's giving you freaking pearls.
Well, thank you.
Absolute softballs, man. So
it works really well. Like I said, I am focused on performance, right? Yes. Not only my performance, but my guys' performance that train with me. And, that has been the thing that has helped me the most. And not just, for a few years. I have been doing this for about 25 years now.
Yeah.
And just focusing on that kind of a system of rehydrating, getting my electrolytes right, and then reintroducing all the carbs, protein, and fats that, normal meals provide. So.
Yeah. And we are folks, and just be super thankful. Why? That was actually the reading this morning that I had. And that makes perfect sense. And this is not to get spiritual, but in the sense of like, we are a click away from buying a variety of supplements that are specifically designed for post-training. Like 25 years ago, right? You probably had something like, if we get in a time machine and had this conversation with a group of people, we go, all right, Stu, we got to go to the grocery store. We're going to see what's available to us. Yeah. Right? You're going to have powdered milk. You're going to have fruits. You're going to have milk. You're going to have just not a whole lot to pick from.
Yeah.
Right? Now, we could get the job done, certainly. But now what my point is be thankful, because not only there, I'm such a huge proponent of Thorne because of the quality, but it's not the only game in town, folks. Right? It's not. And if we can get them from natural foods, the almonds, the Greek yogurts, and certainly then we add the supplements to it. Like point is we, Stu and I, have no excuse to not recover. We have the knowledge, we have the time, and we're trying to share that with you guys. If you're making excuses or you've been training for a while and you're like, man, it's just not adding up. I'm way more sore than I think I should be. The first two places you should look, in my opinion, even before training, what am I eating? How am I recovering and sleeping?
Yes.
And then look at the program going like, well, if I'm eating really, really well and I'm sleeping really, really well and I'm still overtrained, well, then that's probably the program's fault,
right.
rather.
Yeah.
If you're like, I'm not training super hard, but man, I'm tired all day.
Yeah.
Look at your diet or your sleep. So just kind of step back out of body experience a little bit and go, man, I'm really thankful that I have all these options. Although they may confuse you with, some companies do that. They confuse you with misinformation and half information, but that's why Stu and I do what we do. I think it's just, we're able to share with you what we've stumbled a lot of, believe me, I have tried a lot of crap products.
Yes.
Thinking and hoping. And it's like, okay, I'm really thankful that we have all this opportunity to not wonder where my next meal is going to be or how, like, honestly, first world problem, to train my ass off and I get all these supplements that I can just take.
Yeah. It's
be thankful, folks.
It's hardly a problem.
Right? It certainly isn't categorized.
I don't have to jog or walk 5 miles to get clean water. That's
without shoes.
Uphill both ways. Carrying a bucket on my head. That's so impressive that they do that. It's the human body is meant to survive, but with all this stuff that we have available to it, we are able to take survival and add it to a performance, a higher performance level. And that's really what we're trying to do here. I will say this, I wrote an article a while back ago called the ABDs of nutrition, which stands for after, before, and during. I didn't come up with that. Somebody from National Strength and Conditioning Association presentation came up with that ABDs of nutrition for a title of a presentation. I just loved it. And I've referenced them in the article. But yeah, I'll put a link in the bio, but if you Google ABDs nutrition, Stu Smith, you'll see a big article on, many different options for what you need to eat before, after, during, and just try some of them out. Like I said, Jeff and I hit another 4 or 5 a piece of like what has worked for us. Try those out. Another thing that worked for me when I was going through buds was apple slices and baby carrots. Mm-hmm. I just get a Ziploc bag, put it in my cami pants cargo pocket, and I just grab those throughout the day whenever I needed some little extra, natural carbohydrate. That had a little fiber with it, a little sustaining a little bit. So
just, to be super clear as well, folks, Stu and I are saying cut out carbs or certain things for certain diets. We understand that there are carbohydrates in carrots. We also understand that there's sugar in carrots. Yeah. And you don't want to give somebody in a really bad insulin state, diabetic, carrots. I get it. So understand that there are very few always and nevers in here, and we're saying carrots, that you take a natural sugar source from a natural fruit or vegetable and you combine it with natural fiber. It is my understanding that the metabolism of that sugar, that fructose or that sucrose, because of the natural fiber, is metabolized, well, quite frankly, naturally.
Yeah, differently without the big insulin rush that follows it. Yeah.
Just this is the things that, again, admittedly, it takes a lot of reading, folks, and it takes a lot of patience, and a lot of times it takes you looking at your own stuff and going, yeah, I was wrong. At some point, I was wrong many times. And so that's what we're trying to avoid.
And plus, what's good for you. I don't need to tell you that Doritos and Twinkies aren't the best choice for carbohydrates.
For sure.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So
and that's that. I guess that's my final statement really is, if you look at, again, just do yourself a favor, and for 10 minutes, Google all sorts of diets. You are going to find probably the most common thread amongst them all is that they are trying or have in that diet eliminated processed foods, specifically processed carbohydrates and sugars.
Yeah. Yeah. There's not many processed food diets out there.
No.
In fact, I don't think there is one.
Maybe if you're a professional eater,
I don't know.
Nathan's hot dog, like something, maybe, I don't know, but I mean, yeah. And again, believe me, I eat like I'm going to be going to the All-Star game with my son and I here in July. You know what I'm going to eat? Last time I went, I had 8 hot dogs in one sitting.
Ooh, damn.
And I don't ever get them.
But
if I'm going to go to the baseball game, I'm going to get hot dogs.
I'm getting hot dog too.
You bet your butt.
I'll get a hot dog with some ketchup.
I'll probably get a hot dog. I'll probably get some lemonade and a root beer and nachos. I don't care.
I might get some nachos.
Life isn't worth living if you can't enjoy certain vacations and moments and parties. And like, now I don't train like this so I can splurge, but that's the side effect. I train and treat myself accordingly. So it's like, I can go eat 2 donuts guilt-free. That's a good life.
Yeah.
Be thankful that you can do that.
Amen. Amen. All right, Jeff, I know you got to go. I got to head out as well. So thanks. Hopefully this, I don't want to call this nutrition advice, because we're not nutritionists, but, we're obviously sharing with you what fuels us. Hopefully you'll find what fuels you. So
perfect.
There you go.
Thanks, Stu. I appreciate it.
Yep. We'll see.